诸位观众，大家好，欢迎收看路德社之路德视频。今天是2023年1月11日，美国东部时间，现在是晚上8点半。今天我们特别邀请了这个前美国CIA 的情报官这个克莱恩女士再次来到咱们的节目翻译是由Robert 先生来给大家翻译。克莱恩女士最近写了一篇文章，专门研究了前苏联的生武器的计划。里面写的很详细他发表出来了。然后这里头很多观众想知道前苏联的生武器计划以及和中共之间的这个关系。所以呢，今天我们特别邀请克莱恩女士来讲一讲这她发现的各种线索以及相关的关系。所以这段不需要翻译就是现在可以开始，从现在开始翻译Robert。就是非常感谢，欢迎克莱尔女士来到路德时评。
Welcome, Miss Clare, to join the talk show in Ludo Talk Show.
刚才
Thank you very much.
刚才我说的那一段呢，是介绍了一下这个克莱尔女士的最新的这篇文章这篇文章研究了这个前苏联的生物战的计划生物战以及和中共的这个相关的这种关联性他在这个文章里写得很详细。所以今天呢，我们就对这个话题来进行一个深入的了解。Robert
Just introduced the what is about that paper just posting the Dr. Malone's the post and about the details the development history of the Soviet Union's biological warfare program, and today we're gonna dig into this history and to find out what is their relationship to the Chinese Communist Party's the bioweapon development program. Yeah.
Okay.
我第一个问题就是克莱女士您这篇文章发现了什么样的重要的前苏联的生武器计划和中共的相关的关联性能不能给我们观众说一下？
So the first question of Ludo is what is the major finding you found in this book about their relationship between the Soviet Union's biological welfare program and the CCP's biological welfare program?
Well, thank you very much for having me again on your show, Luda. I'm very honored to be your guest again. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I wrote the first essay for Dr. Robert Malone last October in 2022. And that first paper was the history of the Chinese Communist Party biological weapons program.
Robert 翻译一下。
Miss Clare 女士说到这个，其实在去年2022年的10月份，克莱女士就已经发表了第一篇，她详细的介绍了这个中共的这个生物武器的发展计划的历史，也是发表在这个马龙先生的这个博客里面
And now, Dr. Robert Malone has been gracious enough to let me write another guest essay for his Substack, and that one was published just yesterday on January 10, 2023.
好，马龙先生呢，邀请这个克莱尔女士呢发表了第二篇关于这个生物战的计划，这个是昨天发表的，也就是今年1月10号刚刚发表的，欢迎大家去看一下。
So in the first paper from last October, I talked about how the Chinese Communist Party with Mao Zedong took over the Japanese bioweapons program in Manchuria from World War II. They didn't abolish it, they built on it, they developed it.
在第一篇的文章中呢，克莱尔女士呢就详细介绍了这个 中共毛泽东是如何接管了731的这个他们的研究的机构和成果，他并没有把这些东西销毁掉，他实际上是在他们的基础上建了更多的东西，以这个基础扩大了他们的生物武器的研究计划。
And now, in this new paper, this new essay that Dr. Malone published just yesterday, I pick up on that history. And I talk in the paper about how the Chinese worked together with the Soviet Union, with Stalin's Soviet Union after World War II. And then a lot of the history in this book called Biohazard, which I'll talk about. And apologies for the appearance of the book. I think one of the dogs had lunch with the book a little while ago.
在第二篇当中呢，克莱尔女士实际上介绍的主要是基于一本书，这本书的作者叫坎阿里拜克，然后这位他的这本书是发表在1999年呢，他主要是介绍了这个苏联的生物战计划和的一个历史和他和中共的一个研习。那么这本书呢，克莱尔女士这个专门打趣到这本书的这个封皮呢，其中一个缺角，实际上可能是他们家的狗狗某一天把这个物当为一个午餐给吃掉了。
So the purpose of my new essay from yesterday, it's called How a CCP Operation Ensnared the US Government.
这个文章的昨天的文章的题目主要是就是中共的这个生物战计划是如何让美国政府陷入困境的。
And the reason that I wrote the paper, the main theme of the paper, is how the CCP, I think, deliberately lured in the American public health agencies and leadership to make them guilty of involvement with gain-of-function research and the Chinese bioweapons program.
克尔女士就讲到这个篇文章的主体就是她想通过这个历史的介绍，使大家了解中共是如何一步一步的诱使这些美国的生物健康的官员一步步的被卷入到中共的生物技计划中，使他们变得有罪，或者是他们陷入其中不可自拔。这个是主要的主旨，是这么一个主旨。
So I go back to the beginning of the Chinese Communist Party biological weapons program, and I talk about this book again, Biohazard, because it has a lot of the history, the early history of the Chinese Communist Party, People's Liberation Army, biological weapons program, the Soviet program, and then a little bit about the connection with China.
他主要是通过介绍这本书里面谈到的这个早期这个苏联的生物武器的计划和一部分他们与中共的这个之间的连接来开始介绍这个故事的。
I thought it was important to go back to the Soviet biological weapons program first, to establish the history of gain-of-function work in bioweapons.
他认为这是一个比较重要的事情，就是通过介绍苏联早期的计划和中共是如何开始建立他们自己的这个生物武器计划的。
So the author of this book is a defector from the Soviet Union named Ken Alibek.
这本书的作者实际上是苏联的一个叛逃者，他的名字叫坎阿里拜克。
Ken Alibek was the number two in the Soviet bioweapons program that was called Biopreparat.
这位作者实际上是这个苏联的生物武器计划的2号人物，他是一个很高级的人物。他这个生物武器的计划叫Biopreparat。
And Ken Alibek defected from Russia. This is after the fall of the Soviet Union. He defected to the United States in 1992 to tell us the story of the Russian biological weapons program.
这位作者呢，实际上他是在1992年，也就是在苏联解体之后，才从当时已经解体的苏联后面的俄罗斯叛逃到美国，那是在1992年。
And this is important as a basis to start because the Soviets and the Russians then after were working on gain of function many decades ago. It's not something new. They were working on combining, for example, a virus similar to smallpox called vaccinia and other deadly diseases like smallpox and Ebola, and making chimeras, combinations, hybrid bioweapons from these two different pathogens.
克莱尔女士认为呢，这是一个很好的一个开始，就帮助大家理解，其实生物战的这个开发并不是近几年才出现的，它不是个新的事物，实际上从苏联它是历史上常有传承开始的。那么在当时他们就已经尝试的去做这种chimeric 的 virus， 就是这个把2种病毒相近的病毒混杂在一起。来开发成一种生物武器。他提到一个，就是一个是用这个 smallpox 的这个病毒，然后这个和这个比如说他在文中提到了就是天花和这个伊波拉或者是像委内瑞拉这个的这个马脑炎病毒这样子做起来混合的这么一个这个病毒，用这个来开发生物战。
And I don't know, and it's not in the book, whether the Russian bioweaponeers succeeded in creating such a horrible bioweapon or not. We don't know that from the book. But we do know that the Soviet Union began working with Mao's China right after Mao took over China in 1949. There was close cooperation.
这点信息很重要，就是克莱尔女士提到这个，虽然在书中他没有这个作者并没有提及具体他们当时这种混杂病毒他们是否开发成功了没有，但是很确定的是他们当时就已经开始去开发这种混杂病毒。就 chimeric 的 virus， 而且他们当时合作这个开发的时候是和中共在毛时代的时候，也就是毛刚刚夺得了这个大陆的江山以后，他们就已经和苏联开始了这个生物战上的合作，去开发这种类似的病毒。
哇
Now, it doesn't say in the book, Ken Alibek doesn't say in the book whether the Russians succeeded in these horrible experiments or not. We don't know that, but we do know that many thousands of Chinese scientists and researchers went to Russia, went to the Soviet Union after Mao took power, and Russians experts went to China to train in all kinds of different technologies.
虽然书中并没有介绍这个他们的具体是否成功，当时是否成功，但是确实当时介绍了，自从毛夺得这个江山以后，他们就把这个大陆的几千名科学家送到了苏联去受训，苏联也派了很多专家到中共来，那么这种交换去完成各种各样的这个相关的各种各样的科技的这个交流。
And so even though we don't know for sure that the Soviets trained Mao's people in biological warfare, I think it's a reasonable assessment, a reasonable judgment that they did. And we know that from that point onwards, Mao's China developed a biological weapons program that they talk about in this book, Unrestricted Warfare from 1999.
虽然呢，这本书中并没有详细介绍，在这些交流的专家中有多少是这个帮助中共建立这个生物武器计划，但是实际上在1999年超限生物战里面确实提到了这个中共也有相关的这方面的这个计划和安排。
So my point in the new paper published yesterday for Robert Malone is that the Chinese Communist Party and the PLA in the civilian military fusion model have been working on gain of function, chimeras, biological weapons for a very long time. They didn't need the United States for that.
那其实 Clare 女士呢，她的核心点要告诉大家的就是，中国生物战的这个计划，并不是近几年非得需要美国的帮助，它才能建立。实际上，他们这是个长期既有的计划，而当时早在和苏联当时他们就已经继承后的交流得到了很多帮助。这个计划是一个长期的计划，已有的。那么和美国的并不是就靠美国的那几点资金就可以使这个计划完成的。
But now this is my analysis. I think, and I wrote this in the paper, I think that the CCP deliberately lured in American scientists and American health organizations to collaborate on gain of function over the last, say, 10 years, in order that when the biological weapon, whatever it would be released onto the world, and the truth came out that the United States agencies and officials were working with the Chinese Communist Party and the PLA, that the United States would be also guilty of involvement, and for example, in the pandemic with SARS-CoV-2 that we've just been through.
克莱女士刚刚提到的，就是实际上中共它是故意诱使这个美国的这些实验的技术人员，或者是它的生物的这个健康的相关官员，参与一小部分到他们的这个相关计划，甚至他们本人在不知情的情况下，那么这种情况下，他们的主要目的就是为了当他这个病毒在某地某时释放的时候，可以把美国卷在里面，就迫使他们这些美国官员或者是高级技术人员有罪化，他们就可能使他们不得不去和他们就要去帮助他们抵御这个世界挖掘真相的脚步。那么这种实际上有点像是我们国内说就是骗你交个投名状，我觉得应该是这个意思。
就是压头的臭鸡蛋
And
教
now,
练。
I'm sorry, one last point,
Okay.
and that is that now, when Republicans are in the majority in our House of Representatives here in the United States, they will begin hearings as early as this week, but certainly by next week. And a lot of this that I've just talked about will come out in testimony. And the United States public health institutions will be even further shown to be involved in the pandemic, in SARS-CoV-2, and in funding and backing the research that led to it. And the American people's trust in our public health institutions may be damaged irredeemably.
菲尔女士呢提到呢，其实现在共和党已经占据了国会中的绝大多数，那么这周或者下周就会开始听证。那么在这个听证的过程中，他讲到这一些的故事可能就会更多的被摆上台面。那么到那个时候，实际上是个很可惜的事情，就是美国的这些健康官员将不得不更多的被卷入到这个事情当中，那么使得他们陷入那个极度难堪的这么一个境地。
好，这里头苏联的生物武器计划，我看的你的文章里写的就是主要是苏联科学院来负责，是不是？
So Luda's question is that in your post, it seems that in Soviet Union's warfare programs, it seems that the institution in charge of this is the Soviet Union's Academy of Science. Is that right?
Well, in fact, in the Soviet Union and later in Russia, who's really in charge of the biological weapons program is the Communist Party. Just like in China, the Communist Party, through the Politburo and through the KGB and the military. And that is very similar to the model that I think was transferred to China, to Mao, after World War II. And it's the model that China's program is based on, I think, to this day.
克莱尔女士是说到，其实真正这个掌控这个苏联的生物武器计划的，实际上是苏联共产党他们的政治局，就是 Politburo。那么这个政治局的这些人，他们掌控的这个计划呢，同时他们也有这个类似的居民融合计划，他们的军队和他们的这个特务系统 KGB 特务系统才是这些计划的实际控制人。实际上就是我们现在看到的这些系统，很有可能都是当时直接从苏联那里照搬过来的。
Now, yes, the Chinese Academy of Military Science, which is separate mostly from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, it is the Chinese Academy of Military Sciences under the PLA that shares the responsibility for China's biological weapons program. And unfortunately, as I write in my paper, in 2015, the director at that time of our National Institutes of Health, Francis Collins, made an agreement with the Chinese Academy of Military Science under the PLA, the organizations that run China's biological weapons program.
克莱女士说到这个其实中国的这个军事科学医学科学院，那么实际上是在这里面负有这个负有一定的对这个生物武器的开发负有相当的责任，但是呢，他专门还提到了在2015年的时候，这个美国的这个 AH 的这个当时的主任是柯林斯教授呢，和这个军事医学科学院竟然还有一个 agreement，在这个问题，May I know what's the agreement on? What's that agreement for?
The agreement was between the United States National Institutes of Health and the Chinese Academy of Military Sciences. I don't know what's in the agreement. The reason that I know about the agreement is another book. It's this one called What Really Happened in Wuhan by an Australian journalist, Sherry Markson. But I don't know what's in the agreement. She doesn't apparently know. We don't have that information. But the agreement was made between Francis Collins and the Chinese Academy of Military Sciences.
克莱女士解释到呢，当时确实是有这么一个agreement， 这个一个共同同意书类似的东西，但是具体内容是什么她并不十分清楚。如果大家对这个感兴趣，可以去看这个澳大利亚的那位女记者 Sherry Moxon 的那本书，那里可能会有更多的信息等待大家去挖掘。
这个前几天我看一个视频是柳叶刀他们开会，里面专门提到说美国给武汉实验室是写的生物防卫但是他们如果说用这个技术来做相应的生武器的话，好像意思说美国这个 NIH 就是没有责任，你怎么看这一点啊
？Luda mentioned there is a video actually posted 2 months ago, I think, in the
YouTube.
It's about the Lancet Commission on the COVID origin, and they talk about the original agreement between the U.S. and the China is about the biodefense. So if the Chinese Communist part they misuse this agreement and they develop something for biotech or biowarfare, so the U.S. should have no responsibility on that. So what do you think about that?
Well, this is what I'm talking about in the paper. That I think the CCP deliberately brought the United States into collaboration on its biological weapons program. I don't know how they couldn't know, but whether the National Institutes of Health or Anthony Fauci or Peter Daszak at EcoHealth Alliance or Ralph Barrick at the University of North Carolina, or LeDuc at the Galveston National Laboratory, whether they knew or not, they should have known what they were getting involved in. And I think that was a deliberate effort and operation by the Chinese Communist Party to implicate the United States in China's own biological weapons program.
克莱尔女士就提到，其实这正是她想要说到的。中共他是故意把这些美国的这些精英科学家诱使到他们的这个生物武器开发项目当中，他通过这个使他们在当中被卷入的越深，就越难以在未来的这个调查中难脱其责，因为他很难想象他们怎么样对此能够一无所知，因为就算是你不是故意的，但是克莱尔女士也认为你多多少少应该知道他们可能在干什么，或者是这是你本来应有的责任。那么比如说像这个夫妻，或者是这个Texas 的这个Galveston 这个国家实验室的这个主任Ludak 他们这些人，还有包括这个北卡的这个Ralph Barrick 的这个教授，那么他们都应该知道这些他们所提交的这些技术，或者是可能会被他们用在哪些方面，他们应该对此有一个监督的责任。
就是我想问一下克莱女士，你有没有研究，就是前苏联后来发展到俄罗斯的，在生物编辑，就是根按方克逊的这里头的技术上，和美国之间是比美国还先进呢，还是说美国比这个中俄的技术更先进啊？有没有了解过？
So Luda want to know that when Soviet Union collapsed and became the Russia, do you know whether this gain function technology was successfully inherited and become more advanced, even more advanced than US, or how do you compare whether whose technology is better? Yeah.
Well, the thing is that the author of that book, Biohazard, Ken Alibek, defected in 1992. And he published the book in 1999. So we don't have in the public anyway any more recent information about what happened to that program at Biopreparat after Ali Beck left?
所以克莱尔女士呢是说，其实这位叛逃者实际上是从苏联解体后1992年就已经叛逃到美国了。那么他这本书是写于1999年，那么他的信息应该主要局限于92年之前。那么至于苏联解体以后变成俄罗斯以后，到底这个项目如何发展，有多先进，那就是这本书的局限，实际上是很可能没有办法谈到这些细节的。
好，然后我们接下来关于这个美国国会即将成立的这个病毒溯源的委员会，他怎么看啊？你觉得如果成立这次委员会，能不能真正的彻彻底底的把它调查清楚，还是会被中共再次勾兑买通会不会？
So Luda's question is, what do you think about what's going to happen after the House established the new select committee on the COVID-19's origin investigation committee? And do you think this time we will get a chance to thoroughly investigate on this? And is there the possibility that the Chinese Communist Party can buy out and stop the investigation or interfere in the investigation, make it less successful as we expected?
Well, I hope that they will be successful. There are a couple of different committees being formed right now in the House of Representatives. One of them is a select committee on China. And that one is going to be headed by Representative Mike Gallagher of the state of Wisconsin. But there are other committees being formed. For example, the House Oversight Committee will look into the questions that Luda is asking about the origins of the SARS-CoV-2. And I know that they already have lists of people they want to subpoena to come and testify in front of those committees. And so together with a lot of the open source information that's already out there, documents that we have in our public possession, that the Chinese government itself, has published. We have one. Well, go ahead with that, and then I'll tell you about this document. But let's just say, for that much, I hope that they will have a very thorough examination of the Chinese Communist Party PLA biological weapons program.
克莱尔女士认为这个他们可能是会成功的，因为呢，这个除了我们提到的这个来自于威斯康辛的这个众议员领导的这个针对中共的这么一个委员会，这个专门委员会，其实还有关于病毒溯源调查，还有专门的这个国会的这个监督委员会。这个监督委员会会对此呢，特别注意去调查这件事情。那么监督委员会现在可能已经开始这个去行使这个 subpoena 去传唤这些人。那么这些人相关人员到来以后呢，实际上现在呢已经有很多的文件指向这个中共的这个解放军参与的这个生物武器的开发计划。那么他觉得他希望这次的这个调查能够把这个问题中共军事相关的生物武器计划搞清楚。
And I hope that these different committees looking into these questions will bring the evidence out to the American people that we all need to hear, that we need to know. And I hope that they will bring the right witnesses. For example, our good friend, Dr. Li Mengyan, should be called in front of these committees to testify. But also, there should be a discussion of documents, I was saying, already out in public, like one from 2015 that the US government has already. It's called The Unnatural Origin of SARS and new species of man-made viruses as genetic bioweapons. Sorry, that's a long title.
The December 15, which year?
This is from, I don't know which month, but from 2015. And this document, we know that the United States government already has this document. And again, it was written by Chinese scientists working with bioweapons. And it talks about SARS, and it talks about man-made viruses as genetic bioweapons. 2015.
OK，格兰女士就说，实际上这个国会的这个委员会并不是就一个，它是可能多个委员会都会过问这件事情。那么他们将来会转换不同的，我这个克莱女士希望他们会找到非常关键的和正确的人去做这个见证，其中就包括我们共同的好朋友严立梦博士。那么他希望这个见证可以帮助他们更好的调查的这个起源。然后与此同时，他也更希望这国会能够重视那些已经在市面上发表的，包括2015年一本我个人认为那本书好像就是非典非自然那本书，习德忠写的，因为2015年发表的关于如何利用这个 SARS 做基因武器的这么一本书。他说像这些已经公开的信息也应该得到更多的重视。
这个上一次就是我想问一个这个关于这个调查，因为是咱们中国人很多中国观众不是很了解。上一次调查班加西的这个时候也是共和党当时也号称最后调查也是不了了之。我们的观众比较关心这个事情会不会像班加西这个事情调查一样，最后不了了之
Okay, so Luda would like to know the whether this time that investigation will repeat the failure of the previous investigation on the Benghazi in the Libya.
Benghazi.
I'm not sure. Benghazi in the whether they will have this investigation gonna meet the same difficulty or not successful as we expected.
I hope not. I hope it will not be the kind of really, honestly, useless investigation that Benghazi was. I think the difference this time is going to be that there are different people heading up these different committees. Jim Jordan, representative from Ohio, will lead the Intelligence Committee. Jamie Comer will head the Government Oversight Committee. As I said, Mike Gallagher from Wisconsin will head the new Select Committee on China. These are different people. These are very committed people. They have formed these committees on the promise to the American people that they will get to the bottom of it, they will call the right witnesses, and they will ask the right questions. I'm hopeful.
那而你是首先提到一个重点，就是这一件事情很可能有3个可能 committee 都可能涉入，包括Jim Jordan 先生呢，他很可能他应该可能成为这个情报委员会的负责人，还有另外会成为这个国会的监督委员会 oversight 的committee， 包括之前那个 Mike Gallagher， 他是这个会成为这个中共调查的专项委员会。那么这3个委员会都可能与此有关，而这3个人Clare 女士认为他们都是非常忠诚而又能够全身投入到调查当中的人。他认为这个他实际上是一个多线路的共同调查，而且这些人每一个人都是非常长时间能够投入而且非常忠诚的人，所以他认为这个事情成功的可能性是比较大的。
Apologies, I have to correct. I made a mistake. Jim Jordan the representative from Ohio will head the Judiciary Committee. Judiciary Committee. That a correction. I'm sorry.
好，这个 Jim Jordan 先生这个 Clare 女士做了一个修正，她应该是这个司法委员会，对。
情报委员会应该也要牵扯进来调查吧，否则情报方面如何质询？您说Robert.
Luga would like to know that whether he believes that the intelligence committee should be involved, right? He want to confirm on that. And
I'm
who
sorry,
you think you can
say that again? I'm sorry.
So Luda believes that whether the intelligence select committee should be involved in this investigation, right? Because the intelligence is very important.
Yes, that is
是的
absolutely
认为
right.
这个情报委员会肯定也会涉入其中。
Yeah, very important. The new leadership in the House of Representatives, they got concessions from now he is Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, and among those concessions, McCarthy promised, and I hear that today it's already happening, that he is kicking certain of these former Democrat members of committees off those committees, like Eric Swalwell, like Adam Schiff, kicking them off, Adam Kinzinger, off of the important committees they used to be on, like the Intelligence Committee. They're out.
赖女士就解释到，其实在这次这个众议员这个议长的谈判当中，就有一条，他认为现在实际上是已经发生的，这个就是在这个情报委员会当中，有几位这个人员已经被踢出了。那么这里面就包括大家所熟知的这个 Eric Swalwell， 他是就是大家可能记得，就是那个方方对，然后那个还有一个是亚当希斯吧，应该是，另外还有一位这个议员，他们认为这些人的。对，就是这些人，实际上就是说，情报委员会实际上现在已经重组，可能会变得更有效率。对，
所以这个相当于4-5个委员会同时进行，谁都做不了弊，谁都不可能被中共买通勾兑，是吧？你跟他说一下。
So Luda said this means that there will be multi-committee working together on the same subject. So that this is a kind of proof that helped to prevent the buyout by the Chinese Communist Party, the corruption or any other related stuff.
I think many of us are very optimistic about these committees and their new leadership. Yes.
好。
克莱女士是说，她非常的这个有信心，也感到非常的乐观对这个调查。
你跟她说，这也是我们中国人，中国的最辛苦的老百姓。你看这一次死了这么多人，共产党居然说只死了30个人，死了至少过100万啊，到处都是，火葬场都要排队，医院都要排队。居然他说只死了30个人，就中国人付出的代价太大了啊！你说一下。
Luda said that this is he is very happy because the price is not paid by the American people, also paid by most of the Chinese people who is hardworking and poor treated by the ill treated by the Chinese Communist Party. Like this time, there's almost maybe more than 1 million. From the information we collected, it looks like there is more than 1 million people, maybe more than that, is dead. But the Chinese health official is also it's still saying that there are only 30 people dead.
We don't have good, accurate, honest information coming out of China about the newest outbreak of whatever this pandemic is. What we do know is that under Xi Jinping, and the Chinese Communist Party, they locked down the country for a long time, very hard lockdown. And what that meant is that the Chinese people had no chance to gain natural immunity from being exposed to the virus. And so now, when Xi Jinping has just suddenly opened it all back up, just like that, all of a sudden with no preparation, and Chinese Lunar New Year is coming when people will travel and get together, but it's already started. The poor people in China are falling to this disease, and we don't even know exactly what it is. Maybe it's Omicron, but they have no defense, no natural immunity defense against it. And we know that the numbers are much, much higher than the Chinese regime is telling the world. And they are allowing travelers out of China to go all over the world again.
克莱女士说，虽然我们没法知道这个确切的中共的这个发生的信息，特别是到底这次流行的到底是奥密克戎还是什么其他东西，但是虽然他们由于不透明，他实在是无法确定他们到底在发生什么，但是也很明显能够看出这个中国死去的人数远远多于他们所公布的人数，而且更让他们觉得震惊的是，在很长时间内，中共竟然没有让中国的老百姓一步一步的缓慢的有计划的得到这个自然免疫的机会，那么然后突然一下一瞬间在什么准备都没有做的情况下，就让所有社会开放，而且正好选在了春运这个世界上最大的这个转运和 traffic 发生的这个时间，把整个国门把这个整个社会放开，与此同时又打开了边界，让中国老百姓有走向世界，他认为这是个非常不好的事情。
这就是中共的邪恶，他不仅自己作恶，在美国他还你看用各种水军污蔑、抹黑、揭露真相的，比如说严博士，是吧？这就是你给他说事实，他还要在各方面来打压，这就是中共的这种列宁式组织的邪恶。我不知道美国这一次，就是您作为美国人牵扯的，有没有看清楚中共的这种邪恶本质真正看清楚。
Luda commented that this is how evil the Chinese Communist Party did to the Chinese people, and they would even block the information flow outside into the world. Even some whistleblower trying to tell the world what is really happening in China, they're gonna launch the smear campaign, and they're gonna use the Wumang army to smear on you personally, and to stop the world outside know what's actually happening and do the preparation. And Louis' question is, do you think this time what's happening now is making the more American people really realize the evil side of the Chinese Communist Party and do the more committed on the investigation?
Yeah, I sure hope so. We have a saying in English. It goes like this: fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. No, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
克莱女士说，她认为是这样子的。那个美国有一句她俗语就是你骗我一次，那是可耻的是你，你骗我2次我还上当，那就是我蠢，这是这意思。
所以
And so, I will just say, I think that it is very obvious now to the American people and to the world how evil this Chinese Communist Party regime is. They don't care about the deaths of their own people, and they certainly don't care about how many other people in the world get sick and die either.
Yes.
那你说这个其实让这个世界能够更看清中共的邪恶，他们连自己国民的死亡都不在乎，他们怎么可能会在乎这些世界各地其他人的生病或者死亡呢？
是的，其实这个从2020年开始啊，我们啊，包括严博士就传递这个病毒的真相，在1月19号就是来自军方实验室，一直以来本来想着到美国，是吧？你看美国《纽约时报》啊，都被《柳叶刀》Science 都在说假话，都在这里说这病毒来自自然，没想到福奇都跟中国搞到一起。但是这几年以来，美国真正的力量站出来了，这就是美国的伟大，这我们中国人真正看到希望了。这一次
Good said that since the January 19, 2020, the Dr. Yan the start to expose the bioweapon true nature of this pandemic to the world, and we didn't expect that like the Science, the Lancet journal, and the New York Times, and even Dr. Fauci would be involved in this on the cover up, and what we very happy to see is there's many more people is emerging to help and to spreading the information and the truth to help the people realize what is actually happening. And this time the Luda believes that the Chinese people really see the hope that we can fight together and get at the bottom of the investigation.
Yes, I do hope so. And I write about this in my essay, my new one. And that is that after January 2020, when Dr. Anthony Fauci and the others in our public health institutions, when they realized that their own money, their own funding helped to create this virus disaster, they went into a panic. And that's when they had the secret phone call on February the 1st, 2020. And then a bit after that was, as you say, the article in the Lancet journal, which has now lost all credibility because they were covering up for themselves, covering up because they knew that they were involved. And that's the point of my paper, that the Chinese Communist Party deliberately, I think maliciously, got them involved so that the guilt would be on them too when all the story comes out in these hearings in Congress in the coming weeks.
对，女士其实又谈回到她的这篇文章里面，其实有一个重点，就是提到了当时2020年2月1号的时候，当夫妻等人他意识到，就是当他们意识到他们有一部分的钱可能也涉及到当这个pandemic 的这个 virus 的 development 当中的时候，他们感到非常的恐慌，所以他们迅速的就打电话去商量如何去cover up 这个事情。那么在这个过程当中，不仅是夫妻他们，连这个柳叶刀的这个委员会，这些柳叶刀的人员，他们也涉及到当中，他们因此丧失了他们全部的这个公信力。所以说克莱女士就反复强调，这就是你现在就看出来，中共当时把他这个应该就是在这篇文章里面有一个词专门形容叫 elite capture，I believe， 就是说就是形容他们把他们这些精英故意扯到这个项目当中，分担一部分罪责，这样子就使得未来不仅在掩盖当中他们会发挥更大的作用，而且在将来未来国会的这个听证中也会使得他们难辞其咎。
这个我想问一下啊，因为说克莱女士啊，我听严博士说，最早2021年很早就认识了克莱尔女士，是吧？这个一直以来为这个病毒的来源的真相不断的在推动着，也在一直在了解着，是什么样的动力让她？我想问一下，是让克莱尔女士如此紧追不舍啊，一定要把这个真相了解清楚，是什么动力啊？
Luther said that he learned from the Dr. Yan that you have already started to investigate on this since 2021, and you are so committed to get the bottom of the truth on the origin of the virus. And he would like to know what is the major driving force, what make you so committed on this? And yes, that is the question.
Well, for many years, I focused on other parts of the world, on Russia, on the Middle East, especially Iran. But because I had that background experience, I think I understood what I was looking at when I saw the Chinese Communist Party and its operations in this area of bioweapons. I understood what I was looking at, but I realized that many Americans did not understand at the beginning. They did not understand. And so I began to write and to speak in different places about my own understanding. And I had a lot of help in understanding, learning to understand the Chinese system, the Communist Party. Dr. Li Menyan was such a big help for me. She continues to be a big help. I will say that Epoch Times, the news, the media organization, has been tremendously helpful. I'm thankful for the support from Dr. Robert Malone, who lets me publish my essays at his Substack. And I learned from many other of the American doctors and others, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Paul Alexander, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, Dr. Harvey Risch, and so many more. I learned from them, and I'm still learning. But I wanted to bring whatever my understanding was to the American people so that we, all of us, and our representatives and our government would take the right steps this time to confront this, to expose this, and to put a stop to it.
赖女士就提到，之前呢，她实际上是在关注世界的其他的地区，特别是中东和伊朗。那么这次，他们在可能是在跟这个邪恶的了解邪恶的苏联比较多以后，那么在这次事情发生后，他突然意识到实际上美国并不是对中共或者是苏联这种比较邪恶的东西这么的了解，特别是对中共。那么他也是在这个学习的过程当中，他觉得在这个过程中，他希望能帮助更多的美国人了解中共，了解去更好的应对它。那么在这个当中，他特别感谢像严博士和还有他特别提到了这个大纪元的英文版的Apple Time 的帮助。他也提到了还有比如说像马龙医生呢，就给了他一个博客去发表他的意见。然后还有很多的医生，他们都是在帮助克莱女士去更好的了解当前发生的一切。然后他希望更多的美国人可以了解 what is happening。对。就是这个意思。
And the reason that I'm so committed to this really is because I think that today the Chinese Communist Party is the most serious national security threat to the United States and to the free world. I think that the Chinese Communist Party has taken over from Russia the lead in the world for the spread of communism and Marxism and tyranny. And we have to stand up to defend ourselves against that.
那么克莱女士就提到，她之所以她如此的这个专注和投入在这件事情上，一个主要的原因就是，我理解这是一种爱国，因为她认为这个中共现在实际上已经赶超苏联和俄罗斯，成为了这个自由世界，特别是对美国最主要的这个威胁。那么他说，对抗中共实际上就是在防御和保护自由世界的最重要的事情。
是的，这个中共，你看这次生武器计划，它不仅仅是制造这个生武器，它还在外围一系列的科学误导、网络战、舆论战、媒体战，是吧？甚至情报战、间谍战，他这一次说白就是各种手段全都在用，试图就是实行一个完美犯罪，就把美国人弄死，弄完以后他还没事儿，是不是？这个克莱尔女士，因为除了这个生物这块，别的我相信他可能都是专家这方面有没有看清楚
Luda would like to ask that he knows that you are, although you are not the biological expert, but you are really the expert on the info war or other things. He realized that this time the Chinese Communist Party is so evil that they launched the biotech and caused so many lives lost in America. And the most evil side is that they don't want to take any responsibility, so they launched the cyber war, info war, and the misinformation war, and make people cannot find them guilty, and so they can escape any responsibility. And Luda, know you are the actually expert on this side. Would you like to comment on this? Do you have any expert opinion on this?
Well, I thank him for his compliments to me. I must say that I am still learning. I am learning from all those people that I mentioned. I'm learning from people like Gordon Chang, from experts at the Hudson Institute like Michael Pillsbury, like retired General Robert Spalding. These are the people whose books I'm reading. That's how I know what I know. I didn't just pick it up somewhere. I'm learning from the experts, and I still have a lot to learn, but I'm very much committed to it. And I thank them, and I thank you all for letting me explain and bring this information to the public.
克莱女士就说到，她说非常感谢您提到的这一部分。她特别提到，就是即使是关于这些中共的这种信息战方面，她也是在不断的学习过程中。还有就提到像Gordon Chang先生，还有像斯伯丁将军她说他从他们都写过书来专门去讨论这些事情，他从当中也学到了很多既有的他们的中共的一些套路。所以他也其实从各位这个观众，包括你们的可能我理解应该是说发推或者是你们的意见中，他也能学到很多东西。就是这是他在这部分的一个评论。
这个最后我们的观众说Mr. Clare, the awakened Chinese people stand firmly with you and all the freedom-loving people in the world. Our audience write the chats.
Thank you very much, and I hope that I am helpful for them too.
最后有一个，就是说，这个我们想告诉美国人，严博士以及我们的所有的中国真正的站出来，就是想告诉中国人是有这个勇气，愿意为自由而战。中国最坏的是共产党，不是中国老百姓并且中国也绝对不会像美国之前，比如像伊朗，是吧？越南， 或者北朝鲜啊这种，这个美国帮完以后，然后最后又变成另外一个是吧专制世界。这一次我们中国人一定会为自由真正的而战。所以谢谢这个克莱女士啊。
Luda would share with you and with other American who are interested in this. And this time, the Chinese people, including Dr. Yan and Luda, would like to show that the commitment of the Chinese people to fight for the freedom and fight for the truth and stand together with the freedom lover people. And they would let the American people know that the same pattern like what happened in Iran and the Vietnam would not happen again. And because of Chinese people, we already know the valuable what the freedom mean, and we won't develop another dictator regime again. And because we already experienced, we know how bad it is.
Yes, well, I hope that all freedom-loving people in the world will stand with the Chinese people, because one day the Chinese people too will win their freedom, and they will have an end to the Chinese Communist Party, and they will have a government that really and truly represents them and what they want for their lives.
詹女士说，就是她希望中国热爱自由和世界其他地方热爱自由的人，都希望能帮助中国人能够在未来能够有一个自己的，能够代表自己的政府，能够真正的为自己的民众发声，能够真正的执行自己民众的意愿。
是的，这都是这个中国人如果没有自由，美国人这一次其实就证明了，中国人没有自由，美国人一样的啊，也会慢慢的失去自由。所以这就是我们说白了，就是作为一个中国人必须得站出来的原因。好，这个Robert， 你这有没有什么问题要问这个克莱女士的啊？
我没有了。
好，刚才那段翻译一下，然后你说谢谢这个克莱女士，咱们今天节目就到此结束啊。刚才那段翻译一下。
So Luda's last comment is he thinks that this time this pandemic already exemplified that if the Chinese people have no freedom, the Chinese Communist Party will gradually deprive the other people like the American people's freedom too, and that's why this time we have to stand out to help each other to fight the freedom together. And he would like to thank you again for attending his talk show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the time and the chance to be with you on the show once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. 咱们今天节目就到此结束，谢谢克莱女士，谢谢诸位观众看，别忘了添加路德社会员，再见。